So to do a little recap, I think we didn't do office hours last week, did we?
No, I don't. No, the last one we did was on the 29th.
Because we've only done one of these, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, we did two.
Two.
We did two.
Two of these.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But a lot
Last one was
of
on the
good,
29th.
good things have happened. We sort of announced it yesterday that the app is going to be releasing just in Texas and primarily DFW, which is very exciting. And we are happy about that because we can't have the power in all 50 states that we have in this state. And to get our candidates and our companies to backfill each other and to support each other and sustain at a very high volume in Texas is very, very doable. So once we do that, then we'll start stamping out other states. But for those of you that didn't know that out there that are listening, that has been the decision. So very, very good thing. And we learned that after we had, many hundreds of downloads last week. And we realized that, yikes, we might not have all the candidates in place or the companies in place as quickly as we are going to need them. So, in-flight correction.
Right. And also, like you said before, I mean, most of the major app companies did the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's Facebook at Harvard, whether it's Uber in LA.
Yeah.
And it also helps with testing, user testing as well. Like
Sure.
we can actually be on the ground for that and be talking with people and engaging with people and, getting all these things corrected before we start expanding outward.
Yeah. I agree. What was it? 2 days ago was the podcast with
Zach.
With Zach.
Yep.
Let's talk about that for a second.
Sure.
Yeah,
That was really
so
good.
Excited to listen to that.
Yeah. So we had Zach Kornfeld from the Try Guys on. I'm a college friend of his, and he was gracious enough to spend an hour with us just talking about content creation, about fostering a community, about what I was really interested in, because I knew him beforehand, and he was not that Try Guys guy.
Yeah.
He was always a funny guy and quirky and stuff, but you kind of had to get him out of his shell a little bit. And but what I was really interested in is sort of from a self-development perspective of constantly getting out of your comfort zone and sort of living out of your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, he had a financial incentive to do so.
Right.
Because he was working at BuzzFeed and they were creating this viral content where they just do all this crazy stuff, right? But training, the whole mind training thing over and over and over again, swimming with sharks or whatever crazy stuff that they're doing, even if it's stuff like out in public where you're just embarrassing yourself,
Mm-hmm.
I think that really retrains your mind to look at the world differently, look at yourself differently, know what's possible. And, he's a testament to that, where it's like he sees the world completely differently now. And he articulated very well of just, you have to face your fears. You have to live out of your comfort zone. That's the only way you grow, or else, you're going to be in that comfortable life. And if that's your prerogative, that's your prerogative, but you're not going to grow from that.
Yeah.
So that was really something that I was interested in, and I was very impressed by just the wealth of knowledge that he shared.
I agree, and his ability to actually talk about it too is great.
Right.
One thing that I think about is he is, like you were saying, Josh, talking about getting out of your comfort zone. If you think about all of these like YouTube people that are vloggers or whatever, and they're out there holding giant DSLR cameras like in their face in public areas.
I think about this all the time.
I'm like, I cannot.
Yeah.
And they do it, and you can see people walking around behind them, and they do not care one bit. And the reason that I love that so much is because they have a complete disregard for the embarrassment.
Yeah.
Because they're so focused on something that they're putting all their intention behind. They're so focused on their audience, on the, some of them, the millions and millions of people that are counting on this content, that they could care less if somebody looks at them and goes, what the heck is that person doing? And I love that.
Yeah.
I love that idea because, I mean, it's the difference between conformist and contrarian. Like you look at, I mean, if that thing makes you stand out as a weird person, and I'm not just talking about holding a camera in your face, but anything, and you choose to just sort of melt into the wall as a conformist, that's kind of, I mean, that's everybody. That's why you're a conformist. Where's that going to go?
It's not going to go
So these people who are willing to do things, and YouTube is probably, I think, the most obvious platform that people do out of the ordinary things. Like they will do things that are just totally offbeat, and they'll film it and record it and talk about it and go out in public and do it. Like you look at all these prank. When I was at ASU, there was this guy that he had, I think he probably had 2 million subscribers. Oh. And he was always on campus doing these prank videos. So he'd have his camera guy like hidden, and then he'd have a wireless mic, and then he'd go and do these crazy things to people. And then he'd have other people do it and all this. And I remember watching him. I saw him a few times, and I'm like watching him do it, or I'd see it on YouTube after. And it was always funny because you'd see your friends on there sometimes.
Right.
But I'd see him on campus and go, this guy's a nut. Like he's literally going up to these random people and saying all this crazy stuff, and he doesn't care at all. But then you actually go look once the video posts, and it's the funniest, most interesting content ever. And you go, well, like you have to do something that's very offbeat and sort of embarrassing in order to create stuff like that.
Yeah, you have to like completely remove your ego.
Yes.
Like, at that point, like it's not about you anymore. It's just creating, like you said, a piece of content for, your followers and trying to grow your audience. And so it's like, okay, I have to take myself out of it.
Yep.
And this is why I'm doing that. But man, that is so hard.
It's so hard.
It's a total mind shift,
Yeah.
And what happens every time is your ego goes, what if insert something bad?
Yep.
Right? But what if you sort of retrained your mind to be like, what if something good?
Yep.
Right.
And also just showing all parts of yourself. So many of us just hide so many different layers of ourselves.
Yeah.
And you never know how, the stuff that you have hidden is going to affect someone else.
Yep.
In a positive way, or just the fact of you putting yourself out there is going to give other people the courage to do that as well.
The greatest filmmaker, the greatest musician, the greatest podcaster, the greatest interviewer, the greatest business person, we will probably never know them because they just never actually did it.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
What I love about Zach and these people that are very well-known content creators is that it's not that they were more well-equipped, or a better way to say that is they were never better equipped than anybody else. They never had like more opportunity. Sometimes they had, like Zach got into BuzzFeed, like that was very lucky. But I mean, it's not that they have better filmmaking skills or better communication skills or any of that. It's just that they were willing to actually turn the camera on and do it.
Yep.
Right.
And you do that enough, and eventually the rock's got to break.
It will.
Eventually.
I've said this to you before, but I feel like the Try Guys are the original Impractical Jokers.
100%.
Yes, because I love Impractical Jokers, and I watch them all the time.
Yeah.
And the stuff that they do, it's so cringy. I'm like, how can you go out in public and do that?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And they also, this group of friends that are doing that.
Yeah, definitely.
So, absolutely.
Yeah, I think, I have a couple of theories about that, but I love it. I mean, I remember talking to Zach was cool because I remember back in high school watching him on YouTube, and like I would watch the Try Guys all the time when they were still with BuzzFeed.
Yeah.
And so actually seeing him was really neat. And what you learn is that, again, there's nothing special about them. They are just religious about pushing out content. Right. They just do it. They just execute. And we talk about this all the time, but this analysis paralysis, where, especially when it comes to content, like you can just focus all day on planning. What am I going to do? What am I going to put out? What am I going to film? How am I going to talk about this? When am I going to tell? Like, it's always this planning. And the planning is very exciting. It's like goal setting. It's really fun to set those goals and put them on paper. And then you have to actually do it and make it happen.
Putting yourself out there is scary, you know? You're putting yourself at the whim of others, of being judged, but it kind of goes back to that ego thing.
Yeah. Well, and I think at the beginning, sorry to cut you off.
Oh, no.
At the beginning, what happens is, and I used to think this too, you think, okay, well, everybody following me right now, they're all my friends. And so if I start posting all of this stuff, like all my friends are going to see this, like this is kind of weird, like yikes. If I just start talking about, I don't know, whatever you want to talk about, the direction that you want to take it, oh my gosh, okay, everybody that follows me now is going to see that. It's just kind of a weird barrier to hop through.
Definitely. And especially like with family too, you know, if you have family on there. And
yeah.
I don't know, you're talking about fashion or whatever it may be, but it's just kind of like opening that door that people may not necessarily see every day, like family.
Yeah. I'm dealing with that a little bit too, because, basically I was thinking about starting another Instagram account or just my account, because I wanted to start talking about different things, not just showing, here's my life,
Yeah.
But, I wanted to start talking about things like, relationship dynamics and things like that, and that's just some stuff I may talk about, may just not fly with people. Yeah. And so you kind of have to, they're going to find out anyways. Right. That's the thing. Yeah. They're going to find out anyway. So it's like, you might as well just do it.
Yeah. Rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I think people definitely get paralyzed by fear. My mom has always said, like, fear is the number one thing that holds people back from doing the things they want to most, or being the most successful versions of themselves.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you get past that point of...
I think it's easier for people to, like, fear's always been a big thing. I think it's easy for people to overcome fear in private.
Yeah.
Like when you're doing something that's just you and you're scared, it's easier to finally get to that point to push yourself over the edge. But in the social media world, when you're fearful, it's a very public thing you're walking into. So, if you have even not a large following, you're still going to have at minimum hundreds of people that have eyes on you. Yeah. And when you start to do this thing, they all see it. So the fear there is not that, okay, I can kind of create this nice square project just in secret and wrestle with my fear of that, but it's going to be a very public thing. Like I have to you can't practice it in private.
Yeah.
Right? Like you have to actually get good at it by pushing it out there and being very visible.
Right.
Which is fun, which is the fun part of it. And I've kind of gotten to the point where I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, what do I care?
That's a wonderful point to get to.
I know. I need to get to that.
Like, what do I care? Like, what do I care? Because I learned that the more, like some of the stuff that I post today, I wouldn't dare have posted that like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, well, it's got to look this way, or I'm not totally excited about this or comfortable with this. But now it's like, well, let me just share all of it. Yeah. And it's like, what do I care? And usually when I do that, that's when I get the most overwhelming feedback. Yep. When people love it. They love it all.
It's such a freeing state of mind, too. Because, like, you're not tied down to anything or negative talk or anything like that. It's just, I'm going to do it.
Yeah. And you obviously pay attention to the listeners. Like, as it grows, you pay attention to what do people actually like? What do they not like? You have to adjust based off of the actual audience because that's what we're doing it for. But, I mean, overwhelmingly, if you just put the stuff out there that's interesting to you and then just post it and forget about it, it's great. Yeah. It's like that's how you actually build a following.
Yeah. And the thing is that, and this just goes to life too, not everyone's going to like you.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. And you shouldn't want everyone to like you.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like the whole people pleasing thing. If you try to, I mean, we all at some point,
everybody
go through
is.
this, we all want to, be liked, and that's just a natural thing, right? We all want to be part of community. We don't want to be ostracized from the community. But if you sacrifice your authenticity and your truth for, other people, then that actually is a catch-22, because then everyone's going to know you're fake.
Yeah.
So you just might as well just be as you as you can, and then what will come from that is you'll have all these people who do like you for exactly who you are,
right?
Which is way more powerful than anyone who is a troll or something.
Yeah. And I mean, offenses will come, so it's funny because I care much more about what people say about HiredUp than what they say about me. I could care less. You like me, you don't like me, whatever. You say something about the company, I'm like, that's like my baby.
I was about to say, it's like your child.
Yeah. I'm like, what,
protective mode.
Exactly. So when we decided to flip and make it all Texas based, we let all of the brand ambassadors know. And granted, God bless them. And we've had a lot of them that have been kind of hanging on with us for 6 months, that we've just, it's taken a while to get the app released. And in the grand scheme of things, under a year is not very long. Yeah. But to them on the other side, it's a long time. And we had one person reach back, and we were very nice about it. Listen, this is not a goodbye. We just need to bring this into Texas. If you are in Texas, let us know. We're going to connect with you. But for right now, we have to just release in Texas. And we got one message that was just this long, scorching message of I can't believe this. This is the most unprofessional thing and all this. And I'm just sitting there oh my gosh.
Sobbing in your hands.
Yeah. But then part of me is how ridiculous, to take the time to sit down and to do all of that. And furthermore, here's the other reality. If we've been updating you for the last 6 months, on a frequent basis, that the app is still in building phase, and you haven't gone and done something else, in the meantime, and now you get mad because we're hey, we're just going to do it in Dallas. That's your fault.
Yeah, definitely.
We probably need to edit all that out. But the point is that the, I don't know what the point is. Just talking now.
The point is to be yourself.
Yeah.
The point is to
just post it, Brianna. You post good stuff.
Yeah.
When you post all the food stuff, or I saw something earlier about a cream or something.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
That's all good stuff.
And
I've never seen
to people.
I thought Josh's green drink was pretty exceptional. Yours is wild. The amount of powders and things that you put in that drink is, I don't know. I'm
my
not so
thing
sure.
is just load it up as much as you can and then slam it back. So you're not drinking 5 or 6 different things throughout the day. But yeah, that's something that I've really struggled with is because one of my biggest fears for a lot of people probably too is being judged by other people. So putting yourself out there on social media and talking about things that you want to talk about just opens that door for people. So it's just that negative self-talk all the time of people aren't going to like this. They probably think I'm trying too hard, or whatever it may be that you tell yourself.
I think what's worse than being judged by people is people never knowing who you are.
Yeah, it's a good point.
That's deep. I like that.
It's true. Look at. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh
yeah.
Look at everybody that we follow that has a following. They're just people, and all they do is just show the things that they love.
They're already doing.
I have this friend from college. I won't say her name, but back, 6 years ago, I remember I was like, what are you posting? It was just weird. Just some of the stuff was just weird. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
Why? This is odd. Why are you posting this stuff? It was very offbeat. It was just oh my gosh, kind of just in your face,
right.
Whoa, just out of control, obnoxious. And people just crucified her for people were what is wrong with you? How could, oh my gosh, like you're obnoxious and this and that.
Were they like strong opinion posts or?
No, they weren't strong opinion posts. She was posting about the things that she loved.
Yeah.
But like to an extreme.
Yeah.
And which there was nothing wrong with it. Like it was totally fine, but it was just people would look at her like she was somebody that like the way that I'm trying to kind of dance around it here, but the way that she would like collect herself, like you would see her in a crowd, like you'd look at her and be like, what's going on there?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so anyways, what is that noise?
Sounds like a horror movie.
It's not Jack. It's like up there.
I guess they're on the roof. Lots of editing in this podcast.
You know what they're doing? I bet they're power washing. I bet you that's a power washer.
Oh, why would they want to power wash a roof?
I don't know. Either that or they're spraying
Glyphosate.
Agent Orange into the
Rat killers.
So where was I? Okay, so anyway, she would do this stuff and she would really she was like one of the first people that I saw that I was like, whoa, this girl is really putting herself out there. I mean, she loves these things. I'll tell you later, but she loved being this way and she was all in. And everyone was like almost offended, like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? And now I think she has 140,000 followers on Instagram. I mean, she came into college. I think she had like, 3,000 maybe. She's like 140,000 followers. Like she supports herself. That's her job now. Wow. It's all she does. And she is crushing it. And you can see like all her posts and videos are still the same type of thing. Yeah. The stuff that she loves, who she actually likes to be. And I remember looking back and she used to say like, she literally used to say, I don't care what people like. What do I care? Like, what do I care if people look at me and say stuff like,
that's
what do I care? Yeah. What do I care? And so that's a great, it's a great, oh my gosh. It's a great case study because the people that do that and are willing to just put it out there eventually will catch on. But here's the trick. So I talked last week about a guy who I found on Instagram, and he has like, I don't know, like 100 and something followers. And he has posted a video of himself in a parking lot talking every single day for like the last 2 or 3 years. I mean, he has so many videos on his account. And his problem is his following hasn't grown at all. And he gets on, I know what he's thinking. He's thinking if I just post consistently, then this will eventually hit. But he gets on there and he says, okay, so here's what you need to do to set up your retirement. Or here's what you need to do to be more motivated in life. Or, hey, do you want to reach your goals? Like, here's how you do it. And if he would just make the switch and go, here's how I was able to lose 100 pounds, which he did. Here's how I was able to lose 100 pounds. I'm going to tell you about that. Like, hey, here's how I was able to overcome the cravings. And like, he would explode.
Yeah.
So it has to be valuable to people. And that's what this girl in college did. Is she did stuff that people actually found valuable.
Yeah. No one likes finger pointing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that on social media.
Oh,
yeah.
Much.
Yeah.
Too much.
Yeah. I agree.
So, and again, like, doing what you love doing, like that shows through your content. And we talked about this in the very first HiredUp podcast. I said, your passion shines through the camera. People, it doesn't even matter what you say, like they feel it.
Right.
And sometimes I would watch these videos of people talking about stuff. I had no idea what they were talking about.
Yep.
Some, whether it's math, some neuroscience stuff or whatever. But they were so passionate about what they were talking about, and you could feel it, that you were interested.
Yeah.
And you watched the whole video, and you just ate it up because that sort of connection transferred, like their passion transferred to you.
Definitely.
Through audio, through video, and everything. So.
Yeah.
Did Zach make any comments about viral content and how like they were able to like make viral content, or really was it just all from BuzzFeed?
He talked about it a bit. Just obviously he mentioned that he was part of it was luck, just because he was able to get a position at BuzzFeed right when BuzzFeed was in its early stages, and they were just starting to introduce BuzzFeed video. And I don't know, BuzzFeed, is it bought out by a larger company?
I think it may have been.
I bet it is, but
Jamie, pull that up.
Yeah. But also at that time, even just a few years ago, 6-7 years ago, YouTube was still figuring itself out, and there was a wild west with the algorithms and stuff. People are
it's like TikTok.
They were still just throwing stuff at the wall, and so part of it was right place, right time, and then their particular type of content is very much in the shock value sort of thing. So
which is like number one for creating content.
Sure. I mean, people are gonna, and he talks, a bit about. It was a learning process, and you're kind of just throwing stuff at the wall, and some stuff did very well, and some stuff failed, but they just did it over and over and over again and reassessed each time. Okay, what was good? Let's do more of what was good. Let's do less of what was bad, what didn't work. And then, eventually they figured out this formula. Yeah. So it's one thing to go viral because... some people, they'll be a nobody, and then they'll have this video for whatever reason goes viral. It's another thing to do it on a consistent basis.
Definitely.
Yep.
Because in what I loved, what he said something around, you're really creating a contract with your viewers.
With your community.
With your community,
Awesome.
And it's like, because basically... you're creating a contract based on the time that you're posting, your consistency of posting, and the quality of consistency of content that you're posting, the subjects that you're posting about. You're creating a contract that says, hey, this is the value that I'm going to provide for you. Yep. Right. And if you break that, then you're breaking trust. And this is really all about trust building. That's what fosters a community. Even if it's something silly, like making people laugh, like that's a value add for people.
And you're setting the expectation too, because people now expect that you bring this level of content.
Totally.
Every day at this time.
Right. Or every week, or whatever your consistency is. Right. And then of course he talked a bit about the algorithm, and you don't want to just mass post 8 videos one day and then not post for 2 weeks. Like YouTube doesn't like that. Any of these social media platforms don't like that, because at the end of the day, these social media platforms reward people who use their platform, and engage with it. Right.
Yeah,
so
it's true.
The consistency of posting, are you utilizing all the features of that particular platform? When Instagram rolled out stories, that was people exploded on stories just because Instagram was incentivizing you to use this new feature. Now it was Reels. We've seen before on HiredUp that a Reel will post, and then like 5 minutes later it has like 1,000 views out of nowhere.
No rhyme or reason.
Right. Yeah. So it's like that organic growth. Definitely. So really understanding each platform, and that's something that he talked about too, is understanding that each platform is different, and you need to engage with those platforms in a different way. They have different communities, they have different ways of sharing content and the types of content.
Speaking of each platform, I don't know if y'all saw or not, but I guess Instagram is beta testing. I don't know if it's in beta testing, if some accounts have this yet or not, or if it's still just within the company, but they're thinking about moving stories to a vertical swipe instead of horizontal, so like TikToks.
Oh. Don't they already do that with Reels?
Yeah, Reels, but they're thinking about doing that with stories. Yeah.
No, is that some like cognitive mental thing?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
That's interesting.
That's
Although I did listen to a Gary Vee video where he was kind of questioning, because he's a big fan of Clubhouse, as am I, and I've talked about it, that I think it's going to blow up just because of how big podcasting really is getting, and this is sort of like a podcast community, so to speak, because everyone
like
is
2.0.
You're right. And but he was also like, well, now everyone, think about it, now everyone has stories. LinkedIn has stories. You know, all these social media platforms are copying each other. So he's wondering if Clubhouse is going to be a long-term stay, or is it going to be a feature on the other platforms?
Yeah.
And I thought that was kind of interesting.
I think it's kind of like, oh my gosh, how many more platforms do you have to keep up with?
I know.
Exactly.
You know, it's like, okay, you have to create unique stuff for every single platform. I mean, that's a lot, man.
Especially as a social media marketer, it's like,
yeah, it's like you have a lot to. You have a lot.
Platforms and how to optimize each platform and what to be posting on each platform.
I'm just going to tell you from my point of view, I love Clubhouse and I want to grow on Clubhouse because.
Really?
Yeah, because if you go on Facebook gives me a freaking headache just looking at it.
I got to go download it. You invited me to it. I got to download it.
Facebook is, but with Clubhouse, there are no feeds. There's no.
What is it? I don't even know what it is. I'm sorry. I'm behind.
That's all right. Clubhouse is basically an audio-only social media communication platform. So basically how it works is everyone has their like profile bio, right? They don't have a feed, but they have their profile photo and a bio, similar to the other social media platforms. And then what you can do is you can join communities of, you know, a particular subject. You can create rooms. And so when you create a room, you're the moderator of that room. And it's like, again, like I said, it's audio only. There's no visuals. So you can be the moderator of a room, and you can have co-moderators and who also talk. You can chime in. You can mute the other ones if you're talking. And then you can have guests in the room, and the guests can raise their hand if they want to ask a question or add to the conversation, and it's up to the moderators to allow or not allow their guests to engage in the conversation that they're talking about.
Yeah.
But I don't know, what I really love about it is it's sort of taking podcasting and it's kind of adding a more community element to it. Mm-hmm. So not only can you kind of do your own podcast routine, but you can have your community in this room with you, and you can actively engage with them. You can do Q&As. You can host Q&As. And it's just a breath of fresh air to me for social media, because I'm constantly like, there's just too much stimuli going on sometimes. And this is just nice. I also just love podcasts too. So that's kind of my thing. Right. So I like the audio only format. I like that it's not so visually dominant, even though I'm a visual person, because I kind of like that break, you know. And it's a breath of fresh air because it's a platform where, at least as of now, the other social media platforms are not copying.
Right.
So all these social media platforms right now are copying each other, and it's kind of like, listen, I go to Twitter for a certain reason, I go to Facebook for a certain reason, I go to Instagram for a certain reason. Now you guys are trying to copy each other, and then you're kind of losing the essence of what made those platforms great in the first place.
Right.
And as of right now, Clubhouse is kind of that breath of fresh air where it's like, hey, no one else is doing this right now.
Yeah,
it's so interesting.
The other day, I would like this for like my Bachelor podcast that I listen to.
Yeah.
Because they
you mentioned that, right?
Yeah,
right.
They break down each episode of The Bachelor and kind of talk about it, and then they'll ask the audience questions. I'm like, I wish I could like talk to you guys, but if I submit a question via Twitter or their Instagram or anything like that, it won't get to them until next week, and next week they're already on a different episode.
Right. So there's
like, I need to talk to someone about this
in
real time.
So there's definitely a hunger for this sort of thing and the real time communication with a community, and that's a great idea too. Is like, when an event is going on or something, you can create a room and have all these people, like-minded people, talking about a subject in real time. Yeah. And I just like that there's no feed, you know? And it's like all these conversations, if you want to record a conversation, you have to state that in the room that this is being recorded, because it goes away. As soon as the conversation's over, it's not saved. So it really you're really kind of shifting your mindset as compared to the other social medias. Right. Because it's like, you have to constantly be posting content, you have to curate your feed and everything and all these things, but with Clubhouse, it's just, I keep coming back to it. It's a breath of fresh air. It's like,
It's funny because as I'm signing up right now, what I love about this is new apps are so unadulterated. Like, that's what I love about our app, is it's just what you need. Like, it's so simple. It looks simple. It's not like overdone. And as I'm signing up for this, but their app page isn't even complete. They have like one screenshot, but I like it because it's just it's just simple. It's simple. I don't know if I don't know who should follow. Do I follow people?
Yeah, you can follow people, and
like this. Like, should I follow? It just like auto selected these people. Do I need to follow these people?
You don't need to follow anybody.
Really?
But the more people that you do follow, the more it kind of not only will it tell you if those people are in a room or hosting a room or something like that, but it will start kind of suggesting rooms to you based on your interests and based on the people that you follow.
Okay. So it's an algorithm type of thing.
Yeah. And of course, they're still figuring stuff out. It's still an invite only. Right. So, but I just see so much potential here where if you can figure this thing out now before it explodes, like, who knows? You could be Charlie D'Amelio of audio.
Yeah, I originally downloaded the app because I wanted more ways to listen in, connect with other marketers, social media marketers and stuff like that. And I didn't feel like, especially with COVID, networking's kind of not really a thing right now. So I heard about Clubhouse and I was like, okay, maybe I can listen to other marketers or other, big names in the industry and kind of listen to them talk, but I haven't really grabbed onto it yet.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people, we asked Zach about it because I know Zach's on it, and he said, I haven't quite figured it out yet. I don't think anyone's figured it out yet. And that's why I think is so exciting about it, is that it's kind of just all
just
potential
starting
right now.
Right.
And because no one's figured it out yet, it's maybe a lot easier to grow quickly on it.
Yeah. I've already seen some people with like thousands of followers on there.
Sure, yeah.
How is that possible?
Well, some people are already known on other Grant Cardone's like always on there, like in rooms and stuff talking. I don't know how he has time for all that, but the other thing I really like about Clubhouse, and it kind of goes back to podcasts as well, is it's an opportunity for nuanced conversations, and I think that's something that's drastically missing from our current social media, whether it's Twitter and everyone just screaming at each other, or Facebook and people just screaming at each other in longer words, Instagram obviously isn't made so much for conversations as it is for sharing visual content. So I think it's a great opportunity, especially now, because there's a craving for more nuanced conversations, a craving for more unfiltered conversations. I think it kind of will fill that void.
Yeah, I agree completely. Anything else?
What else? Yeah, I'm just really excited about HiredUp podcast. I think it's going to grow very quickly. Again, like we talked about, consistency. We're going to start having on. We've already had on some fantastic guests from all backgrounds, and it's really exciting. And I'm really getting better at the cold calling thing. It really is a thing. You know? And podcast is a buzzword, just like you've said before. Instead of just, hey, can I interview you or whatever? It's like podcasting it's not so much a back and forth as it is a conversation.
Definitely.
So
Yeah, it's great. It's like how you never want to go to somebody and say, "Hey, will you be my mentor?"
Yeah.
Like that's just the worst.
Yeah.
exactly.
But if you say podcast, it's like, sure, I'll do that. Yeah. Okay. We'll see you next week.
Sounds good.
Peace.
Bye, guys.